Good morning, sir. Long time
Morning.
no see.
Top of the
Been
morning.
a few hours.
It's been
No
hours.
coffee yet. Yeah, man.
It's all good.
Coming off.
No rest for the wicked.
No rest. Coming off a long weekend.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend. I think that means we did something right, I think.
Deep Dive 3 guitar experience.
Yeah.
And where are we? We're in Indian Hills.
In Indian Hills, Ohio, because there's more than one hill.
Yeah.
Just look around.
So God love him. For the past 2 years, he's been calling it Indian Hills.
That's right.
And I think I finally corrected him this year and said it's Indian Hill.
It's Indian Hill. Okay.
But there's in your defense, there's a lot of hills here, man.
There's a lot of hills, yeah.
Yeah. So what a great weekend, man. This is our third year doing the Deep Dive Guitar 3
Unbelievable.
excursion. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, we can jump into the things that make this a special weekend. I mean, I think the location, having our friend, we won't disclose his name just out of to keep him anonymous, but our friend who has this awesome property and amazing studio space, and I stay here. I stay in the room right off to the side, and everything's kind of all inclusive. It's awesome, and so that and the size of it, we've got usually around 10 people. Yeah. Which is kind of a sweet spot.
Between 10
right?
and 15 is perfect.
Yeah. We're not opposed to having more.
Right.
But it's a nice sweet spot,
Well, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the cool thing about this is, like we talked about yesterday, this is more like we're just hanging out at your house in the living room with guitars, versus, not that there's anything wrong with these bigger ones, like the one you're getting ready to do in Scotland and other places, which is freaking awesome, man.
Right.
But I mean, what's your experience versus the bigger ones and the smaller ones? I mean,
well, they're just bigger, and there's more going on, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But the thing about this one too is it's just me teaching, which is it's fine. Those other ones, there's multiple teachers, and not to take anything away from those at all. But yeah, there's just more going on,
Yeah.
So you might not get quite as much one-on-one time or hang time, when we take breaks, multiple breaks here during the day, because we're going pretty hard from 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 in the morning to like 5 in the afternoon, and then we're going straight to dinner. There's a lot of hang time with these guys, so we really get a chance to kind of know everybody, and it's more, these things are really more. It's more than just jumping into all this really crazy guitar stuff. I mean, of course, that's what that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I go deep on these things, for 2 solid days. But it's not always about the guitar stuff. It's about the hang and about the camaraderie. And these guys are making friends, and it's cool.
When people call me, you kind of weed out certain people, but it's like, because you want everybody to be interested in this stuff. But like, man. They're like, well, what's he going to teach? It's like, I tell people right up front, it's more about the experience. I mean, you're going to learn a lot, whether you want to or not. Like, we videotape the stuff. You're going to have enough to last you for the next 5 years if you want it. But like you said, you're meeting people from all over, literally now all over the world, from different countries coming to these things. So
right.
It's, and some of these guys have made, lifelong friends, hopefully. And,
totally. Yeah, and me too. And you guys. And so, it's not always about, okay, well, we're going to learn all this note for note stuff. It's more about what you're getting from somebody like myself or another, great teacher like you or somebody else. It's really more about the philosophy and putting somebody on the right path.
Yeah.
And almost kind of like decluttering their brain at that point. Because, I mean, if you have 10 people in a room, nobody's gonna sit here for 2 days and go, okay, guys, we're going to learn all this note for note. We're going to learn a solo note for note.
Right.
That would be the only thing that you got done in those 2 days. Yeah. So I'm throwing my whole life at the class for 2 days, and so you're getting a lot of my opinions. And if you had maybe 3 or 4 instructors up here, you'd get more you get everybody's different opinions.
Sure.
And that can be cool, and that's a lot of fun for me. I like to bounce things off of other people, but this is kind of special, man. It's a boutique. It's a smaller, just really cool. Really cool workshop.
Well, I'm honored to have you.
Yeah.
It's crazy too. And I think this thing in my head a lot. It might sound cheesy, but like, you are in Nashville, in a town full of guitar heroes. You're a guitar hero, man. Like, you are. Like, I get blown away every time I watch you play live, man. Because I don't get to see it every Monday, like at the Underdog. I wish I could, but like when you come down to these things, it's like I'm just blown away by just everything you do. And I guess my follow up to that is, how do you stand out above the rest in a town where it's where it's hard to do?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, thanks for saying that.
And you're humble, and I know you're not going
to. I'm lucky that's the case. I mean, but
it is the case, man.
But there's a lot of guys there that are doing that, and man, I just there's a lot of guitar players in Nashville that are way. I hate to say, when we say better, who's better? There really is no better at this point. There's just so many people that are into so many different styles.
Sure.
And music and food and art are so subjective.
Absolutely.
It's like, what's your favorite color? Okay, well, you're going to go down that road, right, of things being really subjective. But I mean, there's a lot of guys in Nashville that I think are that are way more talented than I am. But one thing that I do is I work hard, and I've been out in and amongst people for 25 years in Nashville.
Yeah.
I live in town. I don't live 25 or 30 minutes outside of town. I live right in town, and I always have. And so, I've never gotten married. I don't have any kids. And so for 25 years in that town, I've been out beating the streets, going out and supporting live music, going into all the parties, going to hang with everybody, and learning how to network and build relationships.
So you're kind of
like
you're Mr. Nashville.
I'm not Mr.
I'm
Nashville,
kidding.
But I know you are. But that neck of that guitar is, to me, is like a lightning rod for relationships.
Sure.
I mean, the people that I've met, just the people that I've met. I know it sounds stupid, but even like social media with YouTube, as we're all doing. If you're smart,
that's how we
you're
met.
doing YouTube. We met on YouTube. Dear friend of mine in New Orleans that's helped me out of a ton. A great family friend now. Met him on YouTube. The people that you meet on there, it's incredible. And now
really
those
is.
people are coming out, and it's this social network of. Sure, it's all online, but when we go play gigs in New York and Chicago, all those guys are coming out to the gigs, and we're getting to meet 320 of these guys, and gals, music lovers, guitar lovers. But we did 2 nights in Chicago. There was over 700 people that were there over both nights, and that's all from me and Tom's YouTube channels. Mm-hmm. And so it works. And so there's a different model now. You don't have to go out.
And you work hard at it, man. Like you are.
But just
you're always you're working hard at getting your brand out there. And you are a brand.
I'm working hard at. I work hard at it. I'm relentless. I do it every day. But my point of that was we're kind of it's taking the social media and actually bringing the group together, in person. Yeah. So my thing is, if you're going to do social media and promote your brand and your career and your art, that's fine. But if you're not, putting an equal amount of effort into bringing that music to people like we did last night in real time, in person.
Yeah.
So that's been the coolest thing to me, is building those relationships and actually having those people that are supporting us on, virtually, having them come out in person and doing an actual show.
What I think people like about you too is like on the YouTube stuff, it's no bullshit. Like it's no setups. Like you walk around with your camera, you set up and you talk about your parents, your relationships, things you're doing in Nashville. You're getting up at 2 a.m, walking down the street. It's like people feel like they're friends with you. That's how I kind of felt before I even met you. I was like, I know this guy. It's like, oh,
yeah, thanks.
I don't, but I feel like I do.
Well, that's the kind of stuff I like to see. I mean, I see a lot of these. I grew up around a lot of people that were, super down to earth. And then I moved to Nashville, and even on the Gulf Coast, man. I mean, there's a bunch of real characters down there. I mean, I grew up around a lot of guys that were zero bullshit, and they terrify you when you're young, but you realize when you get older that you need a little bit of that. You need. I had my mom and dad telling me how much they loved me my whole childhood. I mean, they're amazing parents. But then I had these other guys that were, like they were like hanging out with pirates, and so it's like, and then you move to Nashville and you meet some of these guys, and man, they don't care who you are or how young you are. It's about getting the best performance for the music. Right. And man, these guys would yell at you, and they're not going to tell you how great you are. They're going to tell you what we need today to get this thing done and have the best music. So I have a kind of a little bit of a thick skin when it comes to some of that stuff, and I don't really like, I'm not going to, when I'm talking to a group of people about music, I'm not going to mince words, because the guys I grew up around didn't, and it really helped me. It's the reality of these things is, no, it's not easy. It's not easy to be a great chef. It's not easy to be a great artist. It's not easy to be a great woodworker. None of this stuff is easy, or else everybody would be doing it, and that's what separates.
Yeah.
That's why there's only a handful of people that are able to make a great living at doing those things.
And we've talked about this, to your point, is like, we've talked about this before. A lot of these guys, I would never put myself near your level, but I'm a professional teacher.
I'm not at a level, just...
as far as anything, but, I teach for a living, and I have my YouTube channel. I do all the same things, just to a different degree. But I think we talked about this. It's like people want these shortcuts, these gimmicks, like, learn caged in 2 days. And this, it's like, man, it's a life. You've spent your whole life since you were a kid to get where you are, and that's why you're as good as you are.
Well, and that's what I told those guys in the crowd, and I always like to joke, because a lot of these guys that do these experiences, let's face it, they're very successful, and they've got the time and the money to be able to take a weekend off and go hang out with a bunch of knucklehead guitar players, and I don't try to hide that. That's the reality. And so what I tell these guys is, I go, look, man, you don't have 30 years, so let's get down to like what this is really about. You should be having some fun. Of course, I'm going to go deep and show you all the things that I know, because that's what I'm here to do. That's my job. But I always tell those guys, I go, look, whatever you guys do, whatever you do to have these careers, I suck at those things. I'm not a good investment banker, or I don't run companies. But so everybody has their place. It's not my job to show up and make everybody feel insignificant on the guitar and be like, well, man, if you really want to be good, you got to do this. Well, yeah, I'm sharing what I've learned and what helped me. But these guys, they don't want to be professional guitar players. Right. They just want to get a little better.
Sure.
So that's where it's like, this is kind of an interesting thing to describe, because yes, you're going deep, and my job is to show up and throw. I want people to get their money's worth, and so I want to throw everything that changed my life at these guys. And then they've got it, and it's like a master class, and they've got it on video. But it's not about me sitting up here and thinking that I'm better than anybody else just because I can play the guitar a little bit. Yeah. Because those guys could come up here and they could start talking about their career, and then I'm going to feel extremely insignificant as well.
Well, it's life parallels, right? It's life parallels.
Yeah.
It applies to everything in life.
You just got to keep that perspective going when you're teaching, or you're, okay, so your name's on the, the backstage pass. Well, okay, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that I walk around here with my chest puffed up thinking I'm better than everybody else here. It's about the hang, and everybody getting a chance to maybe if they take a couple things away that they can use, then I've done my job.
Yeah. And that's a good segue. So you've got this new course out, man. It looks like it's just doing phenomenal. You gonna rep Papa?
Yeah. So this all goes back to, I think you can only share these experiences when you get a little bit older. Like Jerry Douglas told me a long time ago, because man, you're never gonna really see your career taking a nice shape until you're in your 40s as like a instrumental musician. A long, slow, steady growth of your career where you can actually, where you've developed like a foundation, not a flash in the pan, like a real career that you can kind of build something on. And guys like that are kind of who I started striving to model my career path, which I use that term very loosely because I never had a plan. But to share something of any value or any wisdom or anything, I think you gotta live on planet Earth for 35, 40, 45 years before you can even start to begin to shed some light on anything. So 10 years ago or more, I came off the road and I did a lot of touring when I was in my 20s and 30s. And then I decided that I was like, man, I got to start steering this ship a little different direction. I said, I don't want to be a sideman all my life. I can see there's a ceiling here that I'm hitting, and I don't want this to keep going in that direction. I want to start steering this ship very slowly on another course. And so I stopped touring for the most part, and I just kind of hung out in town, you know, and that's kind of a big thing in Nashville. It's like a big decision that everybody has to make. Like, I'm going to quit going on the road, and I'm just going to stay in town. Well, it's not easy.
Right.
And so, but I kept at it, and but was, of course, very lucky and fortunate to be able to kind of, you know, establish a little bit of a reputation or whatever I've done in that town over those years. But at that point, I was approached by Artist Works. I was out in Arizona laying by a pool, and I got a phone call from Homespun, which I think you got some Homespun tapes in the back there, maybe.
Oh yeah, those old guitar tapes.
They were the original guys that did VHS education tapes, and it was like Tony Rice and Sam Bush, and they had Doc Watson and a lot of bluegrass folk and Delta blues, a lot of acoustic music, right? And so a lot of those tapes
I had all the
watched
hard
when I was
rock
a
ones
kid.
back in the day.
Yeah, and then and so it was a company called Homespun, Happy Traum, Artie Traum. They were from the Northeast, and they did this amazing stuff. And so Artie Traum, or his son Happy, that's his name, he calls me up and he goes, man, we want to do a 3-part Telecaster series, and we think you're the guy to do it. And I was like, okay, man, let's talk about it, you know. And I don't really do a lot of teaching, you know, every once in a while. And then we hung up, and we had planned a call for when I got back in town. I was on vacation or doing something with my ex-girlfriend in Arizona or something. I have no idea, but I remember where I was, because about 10 minutes later, John from Artist Works called me, and it was so weird because it was like back-to-back calls. It was almost like they knew they were going to call. So John calls and he goes, hey man, we've got this company called Artist Works, and we've got Brian Sutton and Mike Marshall and, you know, a bunch of rock guys, and we've got, you know, and it was like the boutique lesson platform at that time, and still is, really. And so he goes, you know, we want to do a country guitar course, and we've looked at a bunch of people, and we think you're the guy to do it because you're active on social media, and we can see you're promoting stuff, and we think you're going to help promote this.
You're an influencer.
And I said, well, it's funny that you called, because Homespun Tapes just called about 15 minutes ago, and they want to do a 3-part Telecaster series. And John goes, oh man, he goes, please let me explain myself to you. He goes, please don't sign with them. And I said, okay, tell me why. And he said, well, we love Homespun Tapes, but they have not kept up with technology, and they're not up to speed on the tech stuff. And so I guess they were, I don't think even at that time, 10, 15 years ago, they weren't doing VHS tapes, but they didn't keep up with the stuff. So John goes, look, man, we've got this platform. And as soon as he said Brian Sutton and Mike Marshall and a couple other names, I was like, well, if those guys are doing it, because Brian's session career had really taken off at that point, and he didn't need to do anything. I said, if he's doing it, then I can tell you right now, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I know Brian, and he does not mess around. He's not going to be doing anything that's not top notch. And so that was like my first phone call into actually having to put a full curriculum together and get into actually being an educator, right?
So that kind of kickstarted
So
you
that
really getting into
kickstarted
teaching.
the whole thing into teaching. I mean, I was teaching people at my house for $35, $50. The kids that came down to Robertson, like, man, we're going to Belmont Guitar School, but we still don't know how to go to the 4-chord. Can you teach me? And I go, this is interesting. I said, yeah, sure. Come over to the house. Give me $50. I'll go buy some beer, and I'll show you a couple of licks, right?
Yeah.
That was the extent of my teaching back then. But so then with Artist Works, I had to sit down for like a couple months. I'd go to the coffee shop, and man, I had to come up with a full curriculum. I mean, from how to hold the pick, how to sit with the guitar, to everything I'd learned until that point. And so I'm taking my whole life and having to write it down in order on all these pieces of paper, and then I would send it to them as a draft, and then they would look at it, find the gaps, and then they would send it back, and we did revisions probably 4 or 5 times until we got something that was solid. Then I flew to Napa, filmed the whole curriculum in 5 or 6 days, and we were done. And that I built that into with them and me promoting it over the course of, I guess it was probably a couple of years. It was up over a 6-figure income, which for me back then, that was a big deal to have one thing sitting there doing that amongst everything else that I was doing. Well, then my years, the end of the year reports started looking a little better, And then so now, 10 years later, it's shifted a little bit to where I'm out of my contract with those guys. True Fire bought Artist Works. You can post this, I don't care. But so that merged, and the course over 10 years is older. It's not, there's nothing wrong on there, but it's older. I look different. I'm teaching different, not different,
and you get better.
Not different material, but different ways of
teaching. You get better at teaching the ideas.
Of trying to share these ideas more eloquently, and
Sure.
and like I'm saying, trying to connect the gap quicker.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm trying to do. But that's kind of the long-winded story of how that all happened. And then as the the promotion and everything started getting better, and touring with Oates and getting all these things under my belt, more Gibbons stuff and the trio, and just doing all these things as we do year after year after year after year. And then met Brett Papa. He came to Nashville. Then he moved to Nashville from Newport Beach, and that turned into a whole thing because he's actually in town.
Yeah.
Which that has its own dynamic for doing a course, because
he's got a great thing going on.
He's got an amazing thing going, and his bar is really high, and his integrity is really high.
Great guy.
He's not just signing every person that comes along to try to make money. But since the way he's doing his stuff, and it is very high level, he is making great money, and so it's a win-win for everybody. And
the course is amazing, man.
The course, and we put a lot of heart and soul into that course, man. And so the fact that like when I fly down to True Fire to do something, or out to Napa when Artist Works was out there, I'd fly out there. We'd schedule 4 or 5 days, and you'd shoot a plan for those 5 days, and then I'd get on a plane and come home. Well, having Brett in Nashville, that means that I can drive 20 minutes south of where I live and film all day. And then if we need 2 or 3 extra days to really drive it home, we've got it, because he lives in the same town.
Yeah.
And so there's all these benefits of that too. I mean, they're all good. I mean, Artist Works has its perks. I mean, you can do the video exchanges where you can.
Sure.
I told Saul, man, I said, if you really want to, if you want to go back, he mentioned something about something like that. And I said, man, there's always Artist Works. You can go back and forth with, it was Brian Sutton's thing.
The chicken.
Because he was mentioned in the
flat picking, yeah.
So I said, look, man, do Artist Works.
Yeah.
For $120, you can go back and forth with Brian Sutton for 5 years if you want, Right. So there's differences. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but
can I just interject real quick?
So, but that's the long-winded story about how all that even started.
Well, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm guilty of it myself. People want everything for free. A lot of us do. We just want the quick things. But man, it's a very small contribution to buy somebody's course for $70 when
you can't buy a pair of shoes for $70.
No, you can't go out to dinner for that. And I know how much my lessons cost. And you got to support the artists doing these things, man. They're going to stop doing it, and you just need that. You need that one-on-one interaction, not one-on-one, but like you need to see these videos and really feel like you're part of something when you buy these videos.
Yeah,
I think anyway.
I think so too, and I think it just comes down to the individual. I mean, you've got guys that are going to call you. I mean, even after you put these elaborate trailers and you're advertising, you're talking about it until you're blue in the face, trying to convey how great you think this course is going to be, and everybody's doing it. Everybody's course is the best, and all the guys on YouTube with the links and everything, they've come up with some newfangled way that's going to demystify the fingerboard in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you that just is not going to happen.
I know.
But it comes down to the individual, because you've got guys that are going to ask you, they're going to ask you questions about a $65 course, half price, $65. They'll ask you like they're buying a house, It's like they want to know. It's like, dude, come on, man. I can't. I'll give you $65 to not have to answer these ridiculous questions. Like, does the course cover this and does it cover that? It's like, man, it's everything you want is in here. Everything I've ever learned.
And with all due respect,
course.
it's usually from the guys that don't understand that.
But then you've got, but then you've got the other guys. That's like the guy. It's like the guy selling. That's like the homeless guy selling the newspaper on your corner. Once you drive by them 10 times, I'm just like, hey man, keep the newspaper. Here's $20.
Right.
Because I see you every day.
Yeah.
And so the guys that really want to support you are the ones that see you every day, and they're like, hey man, we feel like we know you.
Absolutely.
And they're like, man, we don't care what you're selling. we're going to just send you, $300 in the tip jug because we like you and we want to support you.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of fans that this kind of music and being genuine and authentic about it and not trying to sell a bunch of bullshit, that's what that will get you. And so that's what I can sleep well at night going like, look, man, we're not selling anything that's going to break in 2 weeks. We're selling the real thing because we're experienced musicians, me and my buddies that do these things. And there's only a few of them, man. Like, the other guys on YouTube have a big production and they've got, a lot of fancy edits and a lot of Pro Tools and a lot of stuff. Man, me and Tom and Jed and Jack and those guys, we're putting an iPhone up and we're hitting play and we're going from start to finish with no edits or no anything, man. And if it's a little rough, then that's fine. But the people end up liking that even more.
No extra charge for mistakes,
no
right?
extra charge for mistakes.
Like say, hey, I
in a world of people trying too hard and thinking that that's going to work, you got to come in and just lay it all out there, because that ends up being what's going to work in the long run, because it is authentic and it's real. And so it's kind of like reverse psychology,
Well,
you got to be willing to throw it all out there and tell people some real stuff that's tattooed on your arm, because everybody out there is terrified that it's not going to work and they're going to fail. Where, like I said the other day, man, you got to just jump in and put it all out there.
Well, and I've said it before, and I'll say it one more time. I think that's why people are attracted to you, because you're genuine. I mean, from getting to know you, and I know you got a flight, and there's a couple. Got to catch one. I'll ask you a couple more things.
We got to go to the airport.
Yeah, a couple more things here.
We got a guitar show to get to.
Yeah, real quickly, a couple quick things.
Yeah.
Random question: do you think Nashville's getting oversaturated now?
I don't think so. I mean, I have people that call me all the time or will message me from other countries. And there's a guy right now helping us out at the Underdog on Monday nights. He's got an Airbnb in Nashville for 3 months, and he's a professional guitar player in England and has bought a house there. And
I know you're
he
talking
works
about.
all the time. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And so he came to Nashville and he's asking me like, hey man, is it worth moving here? Can I, should I move to Nashville and be a guitar player? And I always say, hey man, look, nobody's gonna call you for gigs in Switzerland if in Nashville. You got to live in Nashville. So my, departed friend Michael Rhodes, he always told me you have to be present to win, which means you need to be here, because nobody's going to call you if you're not in town. And so I always say, come to town. There's a lot of people here. It's not easy, and you're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to learn a lot, and if it's meant for you, you'll survive. But I always say, move. Come on. Come to town.
It, right?
Come to town.
You don't like, you can always leave.
There's a lot of apartments just waiting for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's oversaturated. I mean, there's a lot more there now. It's built up a lot since I moved there. It's
you're an OG, man. You've been there for what, 25 years?
I'm an OG, man. I'm like a barnacle at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you got a flight to catch.
It's all good.
But I also want to
thank you for having.
yeah,
before we get out of here, I just want to say thanks for having me.
Of course, man.
And,
my honor and privilege.
You could be having a different teacher here every year, which you might want to do. But they keep calling me to come back, so we're developing a little history here.
Yeah, this is Deep Dive 3. We're definitely going to do Deep Dive 4 in 2026, and I think we're going to try and take this on the road here. We'll talk about that as we mentioned.
Yeah, and you know what? You can put this on camera or not, but with Tim here, our gracious host with the most.
Let's get a little picture. Hey, if it wasn't for him.
It's supposed to be blacked out. Like the FBI figure.
Spotlight on Tim. So, no, he's awesome, and he's actually a really good musician. Of course,
Great
his
guitar
family goes deep music history and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
We've had some awesome parties in this room right here, and so there's a lot more to this thing. But I was going to say, moving forward, if you want to have, like, maybe for half a day, we do get a guest instructor, just to get a different perspective, or
I don't think
talk
so.
about something. Or,
No, we like you, Guthrie.
we don't want to do that. Okay.
No, we don't want to do that.
I'm just trying to make less work for myself.
No, we don't want to do that. No. Well, we don't want that. Well, hold on now. You're trying to get rid of me. I'm trying to help you out here, man. I want to promote I want to promote your new record, which is about a year old.
For us. No,
I just want to go over that. Talk about In
yeah.
Stereo, man, with the Bukovac. That is. I just got to tell you how amazing that record is, man.
Thanks.
I used to go on walk, actually here in Indian Hills. My girlfriend and I would go on these walks every day, just about, and I would listen to In Stereo, man. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, it's such a good record. And obviously you can buy it wherever music is available, right?
Wherever records are not sold.
Yeah, and you guys sell the vinyl if you still do. But man, I just want to say that, you know, it's really hard for me, who's jaded, just from listening to music every day my whole life. It's really can't stand listening to music unless I'm getting paid anymore.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, you know what I mean? Not literally, but man, that album from start to finish keeps your interest. It's like it's amazing the piece of work you guys put together.
Thanks, man.
Anything you want to talk about with that record and Tom? What an amazing musician, you know.
Yeah, Tom is. We're talking about Tom Bukovac, Uncle Larry. On you guys have probably seen him. He was the guy in Nashville that we never thought would ever get on any social media. He was not ever on Facebook, never on MySpace or any. Going back to the beginning, he was never on any of that. He's a session man, so he's in the studio all day, every day, and But he started during the pandemic. He started a YouTube channel that kind of, in a way, went viral because he's got such an amazing cult following at this point. And so, we had got together and did a couple live streams and some other things, and we've known each other for a long time, but really got close in the past couple of years. And I was flattered when he was like, "Man, we should do a whole record." And I thought, "Well, shit, that'd be amazing,"
So that was his
of all
idea?
the people he could have on. Well, yeah, we got together and we recorded a couple things. And he was like, "Man, we should keep doing this." And I said, "Man, that'd be great." But his arranging skills in the studio are what put that record over the top. I mean, he's able to arrange those parts. And a couple, I had ideas, he had ideas. Some days we'd show up and we wouldn't have any ideas. And he'd go, "You got anything?" I go, "No, you." He goes, "No, nothing." And the whole studio is booked with a full band in there. All of our buddies, And we'd grab an acoustic and I'd go, "Man, what about this little thing here?" And he'd go, yeah, let's do that. And then he'd grab something and go, "Well, then we can add this part." And then it all came together. And
It's a great record.
Came together
man.
really fast, which is fun because you're not laboring too hard over anything, which keeps it fresh,
And you guys you're taking this on the road and you're playing it live in New York and Chicago and different cities.
Yeah.
And
Not the whole record, but some select songs off.
Well,
there,
it really is an
It's a
amazing
lot
record. So
it's pretty cinematic. It's like when you listen to that record.
That's a good word.
I'm proud to be on there with Tom, but when you listen to it, you can't just play the first few seconds and then move on because there's a lot of hidden things in there. As you know, those songs, it's almost like 3 or 4 songs in one because of the way they
crazy,
ebb and
man.
flow, and they're like pieces.
It's so good.
Yeah. I'm proud to be on that. I'm
Well,
proud
man,
to be a part of it.
You got a flight
Thanks,
to catch,
buddy.
man. Thank you for this whole
Appreciate
weekend. Thank
you,
you for
man.
this interview
Of
this
course.
morning.
Absolutely.
With no coffee, by the way.
Oh, that's okay. It never stops.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
Thanks so much.
thank you guys for watching.